So here's what I've learned about schizophrenia after a year of being diagnosed with it and having to learn how to cope with it. Schizophrenia is one of the worst diseases in the world, I believe. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. Um, Schizophrenia from a physical domain is caused by psychotoxins in the mind and sometimes fungal infections and bacterial infections. I've read this from books. I've heard this from people who are far more educated than I am. If you want to get rid of schizophrenia, or at the very least set it into remission, I sincerely believe you have to take on a diet and a lifestyle that eliminates psychotoxins and the possibility of fungal infections. And what that means is taking on a diet that facilitates fasting as much as possible. And part of the reason why the carnivore diet works so effectively at getting rid of toxins within the mind and overcoming mental disease and overcoming physiological disease is that it's a form of fasting. That even though you're eating things, you still remain within a fasted state. And in that fasted state, your body is able to clean itself out tremendously. In the case of schizophrenia, I sincerely believe that it's the result of having too many toxins in the mind, particularly psychotoxins, and particularly the possibility of infections. If you want to get rid of both of those things, you have to fast. And then furthermore, if you want to draw it into a spiritual domain, before we had the words schizophrenia and before we had the words bipolar disorder, in the New Testament of the Holy Bible, Jesus Christ said regarding people with epilepsy, regarding people with madness, regarding people who are being tormented by devils, which is another way of saying people who are being tormented by evil spirits or intelligences that they can't see and that they can't interact with in any way except mentally and spiritually. Is that the only way that they can get rid of these spirits is through fasting and prayer. So if you want to overcome diseases that seemingly don't have cures, you have to learn how to fast. You have to learn how to pray. You have to change your lifestyle. You have to have an incredibly clean way of being. And you have to devote yourself to a way of perception that no longer relies entirely on the medical and the material, but has the further domain of the spiritual being placed above all else.